When I see someone in my office for an integrative medicine consult, it involves questions and answers, and quite lengthy questions and answers, and more so than the usual primary care doctor visit. And part of that is trying to develop an idea about who's sitting in front of me and how can I template a lifestyle change to get them back to wholeness. Now, part of the questions will involve me getting an idea about where their spiritual practice is. A couple of years ago, I used to ask patients just outright, do you have a spiritual practice? And the majority of times I would have the answer, I don't go to church. And that would be the spiritual idea. And I think it's deeper than going to church or belonging to a religious group. I think religion is a great vehicle to learn how to connect with God or Yahweh or your source. But it's not necessary. I think there are ways, and that's what I'm here for, because I develop ways for people to kind of access that without feeling threatened. And when people don't feel threatened, they'll buy into the lifestyle change and adapt new changes to get themselves healthy. And sometimes that does involve sitting quiet. Now that's the problem, is a lot of times when people try to sit quietly, the material world of speed and internet answers, Google, you can get a million answers within one click. And I think that speed is good, but unfortunately for every cell in your body, speed is not good. It actually causes an excitation. Excitation brings on the stress response brings on, and then you don't have to be stressed out, it just means the stress response because of how it was termed back in the 70s. But it brings out cortisol, adrenaline, epinephrine, norepinephrine, all these hormones that are there to protect you. So it's fight or flight. The problem is if you're constantly in a fight or flight mode, a low-grade fight or flight mode throughout the day, then your body doesn't get a break. And the break is the parasympathetic response, or the relaxation response. And it's important to inject that relaxation response at least a couple times a day. I usually say twice a day, as my teacher, my guru, Deepak Chopra, taught me. If you can practice first in the morning to meditate, and then at night before you sleep, that's the minimal amount of time that's necessary. And there are scientists now, because medicine and healing is all physical based. It's all Newtonian. It's defined, being healthy is defined by blood tests, activity levels sometimes is considered, heart rate. When you pass all the criteria, then you're healthy. But the Einstein way of thinking about health would be that you're, again, one with nature, one with that source of energy, one with your creator. And sometimes it's hard to prove that, but in recent years you've had more and more people coming out with very good studies showing that, even with Richie Davidson at University of Wisconsin, Madison, he was able to prove that, or show, that meditators had a bit more brain tissue than non-meditators. Very experienced meditators were actually able to turn on PET scans, that's Potsdam emission tomography, more so than non-meditators. So that's an idea of neuroplasticity. You can actually build brain tissue just with meditating. So, and what does that mean? That just means sitting there and sitting in silence or quiet. Sometimes it's repetition of a mantra. There's different forms and different ways to do it, and I'll give you links on how I like to do it, but that's just one study. There are other studies, even Dean Ornish, with his folks who were on the verge of bypass surgery, major heart disease. He found that we were able to reverse heart disease and plaquing and stenosis, or narrowing of coronary arteries, with exercise and diet, but also group therapy, that's talk sessions, and then meditation and yoga. And that shows with physical evidence that something happens. Even the work of Richard Dussek out of Harvard, he was able to show that meditators versus non-meditators, the meditators had some form of DNA expression that the non-meditators didn't. Now we're not sure what the DNA expression caused, but that shows you that down to your chromosome level, there's a thing that happens, a physical thing that happens when you meditate. So there's other studies way down the line that have all supported the diagnosis of, or at least the idea of meditation as being a healthy thing. And I like to consider meditation as a practice of spirituality. So for a lot of my young guys who are, say, in public school, they have no idea about what church or religion is, I'll usually say the easiest thing that gets them going or gets them to hook into the idea is that if you ever watch the newer mixed martial arts guys, there was a guy named Royce Gracie, and he was Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He came into the ring with his team behind him, all very cohesive, but he would give hugs to his teammates, all 6 or all 5 of them, as they all walked in one line. He would hug them before he would go into the ring. And even Manny Pacquiao, a great boxer, he always prays before he starts his fights. So there's some of our commandos, some of our organized military will always get together in group, huddle up, get grounded, and then go do their thing. So there is some form of spirituality that's practiced even amongst our athletes, our mixed martial arts guys, our fighting folks. There is some form of grounding, and I think that if these guys are connected and use that to get them a source of energy and power and strength, then the average guy, it should be more than enough evidence that there is something that's intangible out there that would help with regards to healing. If you look at definitions of love, it's hard to put a definition to love, but there is a definite invisible kind of force that's felt when one person sees another person, or when you're in a group of healers. There's something that's very uplifting and supportive when you're with that group. Also, the opposite is true too. If you're in a group of very angry, cursing, mob mentality people, you're going to develop that opposite idea of anger and mob mentality and hatred. So you can tangibly see that happen when you're in a drunk bar and you see a fight. You can also think that the opposite is true, that if you want to heal up, if you go to any integrative cancer therapy centers, if you go to meditation retreats, I like the Chopra Center. That's why I learned to become a 7 Spiritual Laws of Yoga instructor. But not only did I get there to learn about teaching yoga to my patients, but I also felt the healing power of this large group of people all coming together in one place, one time. That's why I like to suggest that if you're trying to get into a meditative practice or a practice of spirituality, if you buy into this, what better way than to get a coach to guide you, or maybe consider visiting the Chopra meditation, the Chopra website, to learn about different forms of relaxation therapy, guided imagery, meditation practice. You'll see how that's my guru, Deepak, and Andy Weil. They both will teach ways that the average person can kind of drop into some beginning form of relaxation practice or meditation. It's very non-threatening, it's not religious-based, and I think it's a nice idea, but you do have to commit to trying it for a short amount of time. The Chopra Center offers a 21-day meditation, and even if you're not watching this video in the time period of, which is November 2014, luckily enough, Deepak and Oprah put together a 21-day meditation challenge about every season, and they offer it to the public, to the world, for free. So it's something I'd take advantage of. And remember, not only are you trying it on your own, you're also with a large group of people throughout the world that are all trying it as well. So you'll feel the energy of this kind of practice. It'll settle you down before you start your day, and it'll calm you down before you start your sleep. So those are 2 basic things that, unfortunately, pills don't do for you. I can certainly give you a medicine to calm down your day, and maybe another medicine to help you with sleep. If you need it, it's important, and I use them. but not forever. I think even with prescription medicines, myself and my colleagues are very good with figuring out which medicines are right for the right person. But the idea is these medicines are supposed to slingshot you into some other change or lifestyle change that you've adopted to hopefully get you off of the pills and get you healthier so that you don't need to see me for my prescriptions anymore. Hopefully I'll be able to still help you with regards to guidance in lifestyle change, but again, that's how we use the non-prescription, the non-medicinal ways to get whole again.